Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to Part 10 of Using the Power Platform to Extend Finance and Operations app. Today's topic is mixed reality. My name's Christine, and I'll be your moderator today. We're broadcasting this virtual event through Teams live events, and the audio can be heard through your device speakers. Today's session is being recorded on behalf of Microsoft Corporation. By participating in this session using Microsoft Teams, your name, email address, phone number, and/or title may be viewable by other session participants. If you do not consent to be part of the recorded session, please disconnect at this time. The recording will be available on the TechTalks Community Dynamic page within 5 days. If you have questions for the presenters or need support, please use the Q&A panel located on the right side of your screen. Our presenters will be responding to your questions throughout the session as well as at the end of the meeting. Closed captions are available today in Spanish, French, German, Italian, Chinese, and Russian. To turn on closed captioning, please click the closed caption button located on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. To change languages, click the gear icon and make your choice. Thank you for your patience during these announcements. And kicking off today from Microsoft, we have Rachel Profitt, the Senior Fast Track Solutions Architect. All right, Rachel, over to you.
Thanks so much, and thank you everyone for joining us today for Part 10. Happy New Year to those of you who are joining us, and we're part of the last portion of our series last year. We're getting close to the end. Super excited about our topic today related to mixed reality. Again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel Profitt. I am a Fast Track Solution Architect based out of Denver, Colorado in the United States. My contact information is here on the screen, and I encourage you to reach out with any questions that you might have or think of after the event. You can also connect with me on Twitter, find me on LinkedIn, or check out my blog at dynamics365lady.com. So for today's Tech Talk, we're really going to be focusing in on mixed reality. So I'm going to introduce how you can use mixed reality with an enterprise setting. We'll describe a variety of use cases for using mixed reality with your finance and operations data. And then I'm going to demonstrate for you how to get started with Dynamics 365 guides and Dynamics 365 Remote Assist. We're also going to demonstrate a number of examples of mixed reality with your finance and operations data. We're also going to review some do's and don'ts and primarily some tips and tricks for you at the end when you're using mixed reality with your finance and operations apps. Some things we won't be talking about in today's session include detailed licensing aspects or detailed aspects of Power Apps or Power Automate. If you do have additional questions, I do encourage you to check out those previous 9 parts in our series. Lots of great information and content available out there. So with that, taking a quick look at the kind of flow of how we're going to go through the session today, we're going to start with an introduction to mixed reality and look at those mixed reality use cases. Then I'll show you how to get started with Dynamics 365 guides. Then we'll switch gears to Dynamics 365 Remote Assist. Then we'll do the live walkthrough with Murray of some examples, switch gears to tips and tricks, and wrap up with a variety of resources, including a couple checklists that you can use to get started on your journey with mixed reality. So with that, let's go ahead and dive right in and talk a little bit about mixed reality. So experienced workers are retiring and taking with them the experience that they have in problem solving that they've developed over decades. And new workers are losing their on-the-job mentors that they used to have. Production lines are high pressure. Minutes can matter, but errors can oftentimes be costly for the bottom line and for the safety of your personnel. Once employees are onboarded, it can take months or even years to get those new employees up to speed. Even experienced workers oftentimes face challenges with complex, constantly changing work processes, and production lines, oftentimes assembly processes can change every 5 minutes, for example. And many production lines make custom machinery or custom, finished goods. So while doing research for guides, we heard directly from employees in many different organizations. And what we heard was that they were stressed and they wanted the job, but they didn't feel confident that they would be able to perform the job. And lifetime learning is the new reality, and providing tools for ongoing learning is key to engage those employees and get new talent into your organization. The digital transformation is taking place and companies are moving from 2D print materials towards electronic access and electronic work instructions, or EWIs, oftentimes as they're referred to. In practice, workers are now needing to access a mixture of 2D paper and files to determine what to do on the assembly line. This is awkward and it can take a lot of time. Non-wrenching time is a metric that's often tracked by organizations to see where processes can be optimized. And 60 to 70% of a technician's time can be that non-wrench time because they are looking for what to do and where to do it. Well, you know, again, we talked a little bit about it being stressful, you know, making sure that we've put together the content and giving them that ongoing learning is key. But classroom training doesn't support that continuous learning. Learning by doing as opposed to classroom training leads to longer retention, and people remember only 10% of what they read and 90% of what they do. Traditional learning systems are not well suited to address the needs of first-line workers who are not typically behind a 2D screen and are often required to use both hands to conduct complex tasks. So, what if we give employees the information they need while they work by showing them what to do instead of telling them? And this is really where mixed reality comes in, and we can start to see the unique value of using mixed reality. Mixed reality enhances our ability to create, learn, and collaborate in the workplace. This is a transformational type of technology, and the types of ROI that we're seeing from customers that are using the HoloLens over the last 3 years have proven out those transformational benefits. When working in 3D anywhere with the right cloud and security, companies can see tremendous improvements in skilling and efficiency gains. And one of the most fundamental learnings that we've had with our customers over the last 3 years is that this type of technology is empowering the first-line workers who have often not had the same technology benefits as what knowledge workers have often benefited from. Yet these workers are so critical as it's them who are the closest to the products and customers. By enabling those first-line workers, we're able to now provide them with a heads-up, hands-free way to get their work done with contextual data access when and where they need it. The companies that are adopting these types of technologies are getting significant gains that will lead to competitive advantages within their industry and help shape the new business models. So I want to switch gears and talk about specific use cases that we can use with mixed reality. So the customer lifecycle with mixed reality and Dynamics 365 can use a variety of different tools. We're primarily going to be focusing in on Dynamics 365 guides and Dynamics 365 Remote Assist today. But that journey can actually start when you're marketing and selling products. And that can be done with Dynamics 365 Product Visualize, which is currently in preview. Product Visualize integrates seamlessly with Dynamics 365 Sales and can take you through that whole process of selling your products and or services. Once you have sold your products, the next step in your life cycle is to start to transform your production lines. And this is where we can use Dynamics 365 guides alongside Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management. So with Dynamics 365 Guides, we have tight integration with finance and supply chain management through the asset management module, and also now through the manufacturing execution. You'll be seeing examples of this a little bit later on. In some industries, we might also need to go through installation processes or quality review processes. And we can help drive successful installation and repair success when we use Dynamics 365 Remote Assist. There are a variety of scenarios where you can use Remote Assist, and there's tight integration with Dynamics 365 Field Services if that's one of the applications you've deployed in your Dynamics 365 ecosystem. So Dynamics 365 Guides is a mixed reality app that provides step-by-step holographic instructions right where the work is happening. And it enables employees to learn and execute complex tasks in the context of their work. It's a heads-up and hands-free application with instructions that move with the worker while they're working on their various tasks. IT doesn't require any special coding skills to author, and the author on the right is placing holographic models in a step just by grabbing them and moving them into place. And once you've had people using guides to train or to execute tasks, you can analyze training or process effectiveness by using Power BI. Some use cases for Dynamics 365, there's a variety of them, and by no means is this a comprehensive list, but there are a number of places where guides can add value. Guides offer value across many industries, such as manufacturing, where it serves automotive, pharmaceutical, aerospace, and many more. Within manufacturing, guides work across 5 key scenarios. Assembly, which can be used to show employees what tools and parts to use. Service, to provide technicians with guided instruction operations to help reduce errors and support compliance for complex tasks. Operations, to help reduce the cost of errors by providing standardized step-by-step instructions. This could be related to quality or the actual production process. Across all of the scenarios that Guides offers training, it lets people learn by doing, increasing that retention of the material, letting trainers teach more people at once, increasing their confidence so that they stay with your organization. Across all of these scenarios, our goal is to provide your employees with one simple tool from the day they start work to the day that they retire. With Guides, you can onboard new employees or quickly onboard existing workforce to new product lines or processes. Guides isn't just for training. It's also for other critical operations like line changeovers or lockout tagout operations, where standardized step-by-step instructions can reduce errors, help support compliance, and help increase safety in your production facilities. And while executing complex operations, Guides can connect your employees with your existing business data, like your IoT device data, so they have the information they need when they need it. All right, so switching gears a little bit to Dynamics 365 Remote Assist. Many employees benefit from information in context of their real world work to help apply their knowledge and craft. First-line workers also rely on their hands to complete often complex tasks. Mixed reality places information employees need in the physical space where they can work so they can be more productive and improve safety. With Dynamics 365 Remote Assist, it empowers your service technicians to collaborate more efficiently by working together from different locations. Technicians can share their real-time view with collaborators while in remote locations, pull work orders, view schematics and diagrams to help increase first-time fix rates, and further enhance customer satisfaction. In addition, Remote Assist also helps reduce travel costs by conducting virtual inspections and improves workflows by combining video, screenshots, and annotations on the devices that technicians are already using in your facilities. Dynamics 365 Remote Assist will enable technicians to collaborate remotely by sharing their real-time view with collaborators in a back office to get the help they need, solve issues faster, reduce cost, and increase efficiencies with a heads-up, hands-free experience. So what can you do with Remote Assist? We can share real-time view from anywhere on HoloLens, iOS, or Android devices with remote collaborators. We can combine video, screenshots, and annotations in the call to help improve assistance. You also have the ability to make group calls using Microsoft Teams, so important participants are involved. You can also quickly call the field service expert listed in the support contact field if needed when you're using Dynamics 365 Field Service. Technicians need the right information in front of them at the time of inspection or maintenance. They also benefit from being hands-free on a mobile device, for example. Remote Assist enables technicians to resolve issues quickly with remote access to documentation and work order information on their real-world environment, hands-free, or with a mobile device like you can see here on the right. So what are some of the things that we can do with Remote Assist through the mobile device? Again, we have the ability to access and view documentation and work order information in the real-world environment, get a complete view through video, screenshots, and annotations. And you can also view Dynamics 365 field service bookings from the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Remote Assist application. So Dynamics 365 is also available with Microsoft Teams. So we leverage Microsoft Teams, and it enables technicians to do more with mixed reality annotations as well as the field service integration. With Teams, users can connect and collaborate in real time, chat with participants, and share files. And you also have the ability to record group calls and meetings. With Remote Assist, once a video call has connected, the Teams user will see everything the HoloLens user sees in their space, including any holograms. Annotations are useful for pointing out different parts of your space, including parts that may be difficult or dangerous to reach. All call participants can see each other's additions and can make annotations of their own. Once an annotation is placed, it will remain anchored in your space until the person who placed that annotation deletes it. Adding annotations to files works the same way. Remote Assist Mobile lets users take 2D snapshots of their environment and mixed reality annotations and annotate them during a call. Snapshots can be critical in situations where a still image might be needed to carefully add annotations to it. These snapshots can be used for reference later on or for work validations. Snapshots can also be utilized in low bandwidth situations. Sometimes one-on-one calling isn't enough to address an issue. Sometimes you may want others to observe or assist while you're working. Dynamics 365 Remote Assist enables technicians to reduce costs of routine inspections by combining video, screenshots, and holographic annotations, also with data captured with Remote Assist to streamline workflows and processes to help empower your employees. So some things you can do with this include save time and cost by conducting virtual inspections and walkthroughs. You can also take screenshots from the call to record pertinent details, or you can record the entire call and or record the call log information for reference. Participants, day and time, and call duration are all included in that call log. So what I want to do is switch gears again, and we're going to take a look at how you can get started with Dynamics 365 guides. There are kind of three basic steps that you'll go through. The first step is authoring, then we'll take a look at operating, and then analyzing. Authoring is where guides really shines. People have made guides within just a few hours of deploying the app. You'll use a PC to create a structure and drag and drop images, videos, and holograms. You can use the HoloLens to place the data in the context of the real world. You can use your own models, but many customers find the default 3D toolkit is enough. Next, you'll need to start operating with your guides. So this is where people will put on the HoloLens in the facility or the environment where they work. And using guides, the card moves with you. So the dotted line that you see on the screen shows you where to do the work. And remember, when we think about that non-wrench time, this allows them to work faster. We found by showing hand movements or using arrows, much less documentation is needed. And they're hands-free to do their work naturally and still get safety and procedural guidance while performing their work. Because HoloLens is a computer, it can provide analytics on how guides are used. These can be used and reviewed in Power BI so you can understand how people are doing and which steps might need improvements to either the training or the process itself. As you'll see, Guides makes data from your existing workflows visible, and you can either integrate it with other business systems like field service or asset management or supply chain management directly in Dynamics 365. So when you want to get started with Dynamics 365 Remote Assist, again, it's a very simple process. The first thing you'll need to do is make calls. So once you're signed in to Remote Assist, you'll see your recent contacts. Green means available, yellow means away. To call someone, you'll just gaze at their contact tile and then air tap to select it. Once you're connected, they'll see everything you see. To search for a contact, gaze and air tap to select search, and then you can start typing a name on the holographic keyboard and then select the contact to call them. Okay. So arrows can be very useful as well. You can use arrows to highlight objects you want to bring attention to in the physical world. For example, point to a part on the machine that needs fixing. First, gaze at the arrow tool and then air tap to select it. Then gaze where you want to place the arrow, air tap and hold it to place the arrow, and then drag your hand to rotate the arrow. Next up is the inking tool. You can use the ink tool to draw in the physical world. The person you're talking to will see what you draw. First, gaze at the ink tool and air tap to select it. Then gaze at the area where you'd like to draw, air tap and hold, and then move your hand to draw. When you're done with each stroke, raise your finger back up. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Murray, who's going to walk through a variety of different examples with mixed reality. Murray, over to you.
Okay, great. So we created a couple of these examples that are a little bit more live, and we're going to work through a number of different scenarios. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to convert some highly technical work instructions that we have. So this is instructions on how to build one of the Star Wars Lego sets, and we're going to build the Han Solo. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert that paper format into a new guide, and we're going to first of all just give it a name. And this later on we're going to see that this guide that we create will start showing up within finance and supply chain. So if we wanted to use it for manufacturing, then we can. Now, one thing with guides is you need to have an anchor or something that you connect it to. And we're going to use a QR code that you're going to see in a second. And now we're going to create the guide. So we can have multiple steps, and we can have multiple stages of instructions. And all I'm doing here in the authoring, so the first part, is I'm going to add in some text here. And then as I'm typing this in, notice on the right-hand side, we have all of these 3D models. So some of these 3D models are standard examples that come with guides. And also, if we look at the 3D toolkit, we'll have arrows and pointers and numbers that we can use. And then also we have other items that we can upload images and videos that can be shown alongside of this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the models which I created myself. So I went and downloaded a CAD diagram, and I'm just going to plop the ready-made Han Solo into the guide. Now, after I go through the introduction, now I'm going to start creating my construction steps. So this could be comparable to going out and having work instructions. And I think I'm going to type in a little bit of text here, and then I'm going to show the the disassembled version of the minifigure, and I'm going to add that from the 3D palette that I have and put it over into the 3D parts. Now, for this, I think that's actually all I'm going to do. So I've gone out and I've done the authoring part. So this is the transcription of really your traditional documentation over into a format that we can start using. Now, what we're going to do in the next section is now we're going to go through two steps. We're going to go through authoring and then see what the operator sees. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to go through the author process, and I need to scan an anchor. So I've got this QR code that I'm using, and I'm just going to recognize it. What that does is that's a standard point in space which all of my objects can be related to. So now notice I'm pulling over my holographic image, and I'm just going to put it in my real world. So you can see this is a large version of the minifigure. I can go and I can move it around. I can rearrange it. I'm actually pushing it back, but I can make it smaller. So now I can put it anywhere that I want in relation to that anchor. So now I'm moving to the next step. So this is the next step in the guide where I actually have the exploded version, and I'll grab that and pull that over. And it's a little bit smaller, so I'm going to sort of rearrange it. Notice I can turn it all the way around, and I use really natural finger gestures. And then I can make it bigger so I can see it, and then I can see the whole construction, the exploded construction along the way. And after I've done that, then I've completed the authoring, or I could go out and add some more items. So this is the first step. I'm going to exit from here. So now that we've gone and done the authoring process, then let's see what that looks like for the user, because the user doesn't need to go out and move things. Actually, they can't move anything. What they need to do is they need to anchor the task to a point in space. And now everything that we've created, including the instructions, are over here. Now I can move from step to step, and I'm going to move to the next instructions, and I can see all of the items. And then I think, so now I've got my minifigure, and I could go through those instructions and actually build it or assemble it based off the instructions that I had. So I can go around, I can put the head on the right way, I can put the feet on. I've already put on the backpack, and I think the only part that's left is to go and add his here. And then I put the tank on the back. So now we've gone through the instructions and we've assembled it based off the instructions that we built, and we can go to the next step. And then congratulations, we've just gone through our first training exercise to build a Lego minifigure. So this is this is the experience that you'd have as you're going through and doing the authoring. So let's move to the next, some more examples along the way. And this is where we're going to show some of the integration into Dynamics. So within supply chain management, there's a mixed reality menu, a new menu here. And every guide that we create through the authoring tool is automatically synchronized over to here through dual write. And then the important thing here is that if we, once we have the guide connected up, then we can start using the MES integration and add these to resources, to production orders. We can add them to, I think we'll move forward just a little bit here.
Yeah, it's
okay. We'll wait just a little bit. We have a little bit of a gap here. So all of these can be assigned to items. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over and look at how we link the guides to resources. So anytime this resource is going to be used, then there is going to be a guide associated with it. And you can see for this speaker testing rig, rather than having manual instructions or paper instructions, we've created a guide and now we have it available to us. Now, that's pretty neat. But when you go out and start using the new production floor execution screens, so this is a new feature that's come out in, I think, the last release or the release before. Whenever we have a production order that has guides associated with it, then it will list out the guides and create a QR code. The important point about this now is that if you're going through and in the manufacturing process and you get tasked with performing a guide, then all you need to do is put on the HoloLens, gaze at the QR code that's there, and it will take you straight to the guide, and without you having to find it within the authoring or the operating item, as I was doing when I was showing the Lego minifig example. So guides is very tightly integrated in here. So I think, so let's go to the next. So we've got a couple of examples here of where guides is integrated with asset management. For asset management, if we have checklists, then we can add a guide directly to that checklist. And I think we'll just jump through a couple of these screens here. So I'm just going out and adding a compressor inspection to this, and then I can add also templates to this and move through. We'll move through these pretty quickly. But as we go out and set up default jobs and set up a default checklists or guides associated with them, the important thing is that when we are using the asset management mobile client, so we'll go through here a little bit, then all of these guides are going to show up as part of the checklist. So you get this instruction as you're moving through your checklist to say that there's a guide associated with this. Now, we don't have, for this, we don't have a QR code, because generally what people do is they have a printed QR code, usually on some sort of hard surface, and they attach that close to the piece of machinery so that you can just gaze at it and perform the maintenance tasks that you want directly on the piece of machinery.
I received this steampunk dog thingy from my niece the other day, and I'm trying to work out how to get this working, because I can't seem to do anything and it's not making any sounds. So I'm going to use remote assist. I'm going to call up Rachel. I'll launch the call.
Hi, Murray. How are you today?
I'm great.
Sure. So Murray's telling me about his problem here, how he can't figure out how to use his device. Let's take a closer look at it. Maybe turn it around so I can see it a little bit better. Oh, I think I might see the problem. Can you hold it there for just a second? And what I'll do is I'll circle on the screen for you. Do you see this little metal knob right there? Can you try twisting that? Probably turn it clockwise and see if that will make it go. Fantastic. So glad I could help out with that, Murray. So in this demonstration, right, Murray called me using the Dynamics 365 Remote Assist app, and I answered that call through Microsoft Teams. I don't actually have anything special installed on my computer. It's just standard Microsoft Teams. But because he's using that HoloLens and Dynamics 365 Remote Assist, I'm able to annotate. I can use the arrows. I can send him files. I can do a variety of other things in that call and see everything that he's seeing right through that Microsoft Teams meeting. The experience is very similar even if you're not using Microsoft Teams. You can use it on your mobile device as well, or you can do it directly from the model-driven app for Dynamics 365 Remote Assist.
Yeah. And before we move on, although we're not really talking about licensing, or we're not planning to, the important thing is that only the person who is requiring the assistance needs to have a license for Remote Assist. So as Rachel said, she didn't have to have any other license other than Teams. So this final example is talking about Remote Assist in conjunction with finance and supply chain. So there's a feature within Remote Assist that allows us to now do one-time calls. Now, what this means is that if you have a Remote Assist license, but you need to call a customer and have them require some help, but they don't have a Remote Assist license, then you can go and generate these links and send it to them, and it creates sort of like a one-time meeting. And there's the URL that's in there. But what we did here is we embedded the Remote Assist one-time link generation directly within finance and supply chain. And we've done this a number of times with different tools throughout this Tech Talk series. So if you want to see how to do that, I think we actually did it in the last Tech Talk. We showed how you can strip out all of the information around the outside of the model-driven app and then just embed it directly within finance and supply chain so that you don't have to go out to another screen.
Yeah. This example, Murray, you embedded this as a workspace, but if you wanted to put this in a fast tab directly on the customer service workbench, for example, or maybe even directly in the sales order form, or maybe related to quality orders, if you've got kind of a remote quality staff and some back office people who can help with equipment or maintenance, you could embed this in a lot of different places, directly on a quality order or production orders, or on assets, wherever it makes the most sense, so that it's easy for your users to set these calls up. All right, so we're going to switch gears a little bit now and take a look at a number of different tips and tricks that you can use when you're using guides and Remote Assist. So we're going to start with some kind of hologram stability and Remote Assist tips. So hologram stability is referring to how well a placed hologram stays where you placed it, be this perceptual or actual. Perceptual instability could refer to a hologram that seems to move with your head motion instead of tracking the placed position in space. And actual instability could refer to a hologram whose coordinates have changed in a virtual space or whose position relative to a real-world object has shifted regardless of user input or head tracking. So holograms are always going to be the most stable when your head, not your eyes, is pointed directly at them. The expected tolerance for hologram stability is that they will remain within 1 centimeter of the placed position for every 1 meter of distance from the device. So to improve the hologram stability, you'll want to complete the eye calibration. We've provided some links at the bottom of this slide on how to complete that eye calibration process for your devices, depending on if you've got the original HoloLens or the HoloLens 2. It takes about 20 seconds to complete that process. So some tips and tricks for remote assist on a mobile device. So techniques that can help improve your tracking experience and surface detection is really what we're going to kind of focus in on. So move your phone from side to side at the beginning of a video call. You can also try your phone more slowly. You can place annotation in your device's field of view and avoid lots of sudden movements. You'll also want to avoid frequently minimizing the app and reopening it while there are annotations present. So some things that are limitations that might hinder your tracking experience and accurate surface detection include flat surfaces without a texture. So like a white desk is an example. Environments with dim lighting or very bright lighting can be problematic, and transparent or reflective surfaces like glass. And then also dynamic or moving surfaces like a conveyor belt could be problematic as well. So some tips and tricks for creating guides, and there are a lot of guidance. I've kind of compiled some of the most important ones and most frequent ones that you're likely to use, but there is a link at the bottom of this slide that will take you out to a docs article that has an abundance of additional tips and tricks. So when you're getting started, gather as much content as you can before you begin creating your guides. This could include things like images, videos, and 3D content if you have any, and the physical objects themselves if it's feasible. Obviously, like if it's an entire machine, you're not going to bring that back to your office, but it might make sense for you to, take your laptop or PC out to where that, machine is at, if that's what you're going to be creating a guide for. Don't worry if you don't have any 3D content. Guides also includes that 3D toolkit, and it includes simple models that include things like arrows, hands, zones, numbers, and so on. And those are oftentimes more than enough to get you started. You'll also want to understand the space. And what this means is make sure that you understand the space where the worker is at, where the procedure and the workflow that's going to be happening, that you're going to be authoring for. Arrange for access to the space so you understand the real world environment. You'll also need access to the space to align the guide and place the holograms after you've done the PC authoring. You'll also want to build references. A great way to start is to create a video of the procedure you want to show or have someone like an expert in the process, for example, create one for you. You can refer to that video as you create your guide. You could also use written step-by-step procedures, but the video will make it easier for you to kind of see exactly what's going on. If you're using a video as a starting point, make sure it's representative of the guide you want to create. For example, are you creating a guide for an expert or for a novice? Understand your objectives and your target audience. It's critical to understand the lesson objectives and target audience before you start developing your first guide. Lesson objectives include various sub-objectives needed to accomplish an overall objective. Additionally, understanding your target audience will help you tailor your guide to provide the right amount of complexity needed to communicate information to your operators. For example, will your audience understand how to use specific tools or the names of specific machinery? When we think about tasks and the things, which are the top level kind of objectives of your guide, we recommend that you break the assembly process into logical key objectives. So if there are 3 objectives, you would have 3 tasks. Each task should only include one objective, and those tasks should follow a logical sequence of events that happen naturally in the process. When you're making the guide, we recommend that you talk the assembly process out loud. Like, so the words that you're writing and the instructions that you're putting in there should make sense as if you're speaking them out loud to that person. Tasks should not include more than 30 steps, but don't be afraid to put a large number of steps in a particular task. If we take Murray's example of the Lego that he did earlier, he made 2 tasks. One was the introduction, and the second task was to assemble. Murray could have gone to the next level and created multiple steps inside of that task to, start with the body, put the head on, put the hair on, right? He could have made one step for each one of those different things that he was doing. He could have even included, different hologram images or 2D images for each one of those steps so that they could validate, putting that particular piece together. Again, you'll want to think about the complexity of your task with something like the minifig, which was highly, highly complex. Not really. It probably wasn't necessary, but if you're doing something more technical or difficult to communicate, you might need more steps. So some more tips and tricks for creating guides. First, I want to focus a little bit on steps. So your steps, which are the individual actions that people will take, don't need to describe everything. We strongly recommend that you use visual aids. And within a particular step, try to stick to one type of asset, such as an image, video, or 3D holograms. It can be confusing if you've added all of these to a single step. You'll also want to make sure that you know the names of specific tools and what those tools can do when you're indicating to use those tools in a particular step or process. You'll also want to make sure you understand the basic safety requirements of whatever your process is, and keep your steps short and concise. Don't create multiple sentences or things to do in a single step. You can also create tips and tricks or warnings as their own step. Now, tethering is another process or thing that you can add into your guides. So, and that's the little dotted line. You want to use the tether or the dotted line to help the operator locate where the work occurs at. And you'll want to use it when you're starting an operation, moving to another area, locating a specific part to be used, or to point out something very small on a particular part. So maybe if we're standing on one side of the item that's being manufactured and they need to walk around to the other side, the dotted line can be very useful to help move around and point that dot to exactly where they need to do something. 2D images can also be very useful. One of the great uses or things that we recommend is using images for things that you want to show, like a yes or a no, like here's a good example and here's a bad example, and do like a side-by-side picture. It can also be great for validation or orientation of a similar looking item. So like if we're trying to validate that we have the right part, or that, now that you attached, or did that next step, that it looks correct, you can use a 2D image. Or if there's 2 parts that look very similar, the 2D images can be very useful for that. Make sure that your images are clear. You don't want blurry images. 1080p is the recommended resolution, and we also recommend maintaining a 16:9 ratio of your images so that when they're opened, they'll occupy the entire screen. Some more tips. So when we talk about videos, you'll want to think about using videos for detailed hand processes where millimeter precision is needed, when standard holograms are too abstract to really understand what a particular step is supposed to be doing. Think about using third-person video for environmental context or to help understand how the operator and the machine interact together. And you'll want to use first-person video for small spaces or really fine handwork and communicating from the operator's point of view. Consider using like a GoPro or a similar device to record a first-person video. We also have the 3D toolkit available, and this is where we can use a variety of different tools. This is by no means a comprehensive list, but these are the most common ones. So think about using arrows to communicate spatial information, or if you want them to insert an object or a part into something else. Use the hands in the 3D toolkit for communicating specific hand orientations or movements, and use numbers for sequencing within a step. And the last one is zones. So you can use zones to communicate areas to place a particular item. Excuse me. All right. So that wraps up the tips and tricks that I've put together for you. We've got a variety of resources available, including 2 checklists. I won't spend a lot of time on this because I do want to make sure we allow enough time here at the end for any Q&A. But for the guides, we've put together a checklist here with some hyperlinks to help you get started. But you'll want to validate the prerequisites in terms of devices, licenses, and so on. And then you'll go through the process of deploying Dynamics 365 guides. Once it's installed, you're going to start authoring guides in the PC app, and then you'll need to go through the process of authoring in the HoloLens app. And that's where you're going to create those anchors and position any of those objects that you added to your guide from the PC. If required, at this point, you can start integrating those guides with Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management. So that's where we can link those guides into resources, bill of materials, the asset management, checklists, and so on. And then you can start operating the guides from the HoloLens out in your facilities. And then the last item here on the checklist is analyzing your guides. It's important to make sure that you're checking the effectiveness of your guides and where you might be able to make process improvements. So the checklist for remote assist, pretty similar in a lot of ways. Again, you're going to want to start out by validating those prerequisites, and then you can deploy remote assist. Install the model-driven app, and I've put some links in here for how to use the remote assist on the HoloLens and HoloLens 2, how to use it on a mobile device, and how to use the model-driven app. Obviously, we showed a demo just a few minutes ago, on how you can optionally embed remote assist into finance and operations as well. So if you're ready to get started on your journey, again, like I said, we have compiled a number of resources with a variety of links to help you get started with Dynamics 365 guides. Whole page of links and resources here available for you. Likewise, if you're ready to take the next step with Remote Assist, there's some overview links for Dynamics 365 Remote Assist as well as the HoloLens 2. And then our last slide of links here has a bunch of links that are specific to getting started with Dynamics 365 Remote Assist. So with that, we're going to open it up for questions. I don't see any in the queue right now. I don't know, Murray, if we had any come through earlier that we can help answer, but we'll give it about a minute or so. If you've got questions, feel free to put those in into the queue. While we're waiting, Murray, do you maybe want to share a story of some of the guides that you've created or worked with some clients on?
Yeah, and we've worked with a number of customers or finance and supply chain customers, and some of the really interesting areas that they're trying to use guides is around around machinery and changeover and creating just creating better instructions so that the employees don't have to carry around these large books. And we've worked with companies that are large manufacturers of airplanes. We've worked with companies that are not quite as complex, but they make cheese, for example, but they have a lot of quality tests that they need to do before they start any production. That is very important. So giving people step-by-step guides on everything that they need to do is really important, and Guides was a great tool that allowed to do that. The obvious reason for using remote assist right now is the current situation that we're in, where we can't really get people to places that they should be. And so going out and being able to use your phone for remote assist, or being able to sort of phone a friend like we did in our video, there's a lot of customers that are sort of taking advantage of that. We've got customers in the medical field that are using remote assist to have, so that they can minimize the number of people that are interacting with a patient. So they can have one person that has a HoloLens on, and they can talk to the patient, but then all of the other specialists that may normally be in the room can be in another room or remote, and everyone can dial in and through Teams and have access and sort of add their own input without physically being there in place. So there's a lot of different ways that that all of this mixed reality and augmented reality and the managing of people is we've got so many more options now with guides and remote assist especially. So, and
we did have a question come in. Yeah. Someone asked what formats are supported for 3D models with guides. I've got a link here. I will paste it into the chat for you, because it also has some guidance in here on how to convert your models as well. So let me just reply to this here with this link. It's got a list of, you know, our recommended formats, as well as how to convert like CAD models to supported 3D models. So
yeah. And for the sometimes people may already have tools that allow them to convert 3D models, but if, for example, you go out and take advantage of the developer version of the HoloLens, which actually which is, I think, a little bit cheaper than the production version. It actually comes with a license for Unity for mixed reality, but also it comes with a companion tool from Unity that's called Pixies. It's P-Y-X-Z, P-I-X, yeah, P-Y or P-I-X-Z, so it's Pixies. And that's the tool that allows you to optimize models and convert them. So if you don't have a GLB or an OBJ or a STL file, then, but you maybe have a CAD diagram, then Pixies will go out and convert almost all other 3D formats down into the optimized versions that the HoloLens sort of accepts. So there's, but the link that Rachel put in does mention some other tools. I think you can use Blender and you can use AutoCAD if you have a license for that.
Yep, absolutely. So I pasted another link as well that's specific to what you were just talking about for optimizing 3D models. So I encourage you to check out those links if you're looking to put some 3D models in your guides.
Yeah, and a tip that I don't know whether it was on, I don't think it was on the main set of items, is that the smaller or the more optimized models are, the easier it will be to use with guides. You can use large models, but they they take time to download, so there's a little bit of a lag. So if you can slice up your models or optimize them and get rid of hidden facets and hidden vertices and optimize the triangle count, then you're going to have a lot better experience with the 3D objects inside of guides.
Awesome. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Christine, who's going to wrap us up and talk about our survey today. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Rachel. So I posted a link to the short survey in the Q&A panel. We'd like your feedback on today's session and hear what you'd like to see in the future events. The survey score is on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score possible. And thank you, everyone, for your participation. As a reminder, the recording will be available in the Tech Talks Community Dynamic page within 5 business days. And this concludes today's broadcast. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenters and to our audience. And please stay safe and have a great rest of your day or evening or wherever you are.